The place where we are fishing here is called Porta Bohemica. It's basically the valley between the two mountains, and the place itself is very interesting because it's the very nice combination between the pristine nature of the natural protected area together with the industrial railway which connects the Czech Republic with Germany. And it's very special for me because it reminds me of the river Danube, starting from the depths, which is like more or less 8 to 10 meters here, with a strong current, pretty wide river, which is like 200 meters to the other bank. And you can find plenty of commons here, plenty of mirrors, fully scales, and so on. There's always something to seek for. It's very interesting to see this phenomenon, especially on the river, as it is more likely something which is possible to see, especially on the lakes and the reservoirs. It's called thermocline when you go through the water level, but it's the gauge where the temperature drops. But in this case, when it's raining and the temperature is changing, basically it's the edge where also the oxygen comes to the water in a higher amount, a higher concentration. It is lovely as the weather changed, and meanwhile I was preparing some rigs. I have seen carp jumping, I would say, more or less in the middle of the river for several times, so I think it's just a time to move on from the margin and just recast the rod. We need to open up the structure a little bit because the boil is for a long time in the water. As it's already very nicely soft and soaked, it's the perfect time to scratch the structure a little bit, so all of that good flavors which are coming from inside will be able to spread across the water level. So it's just a little hack, little tip. But if you use the bait for a longer time, you don't have to be worried. If it's stiff enough to keep it under the hook, just scratch it a little bit and it will be like fresh new bait. Just like that. So as far as we are waiting for a bite during this lovely midday, let me show you the rigs that I'm using on the river fishing. The rigs that I use here must be very solid, very stiff, and as well big enough to penetrate the big carp mouth that they have here. First of all, what is really crucial is the big bait, as we have a lot of small fish, crayfish, or the bigger macroinvertebrates which can easily destroy it. So at least 20, but in ideal way 24, 28 millimeter is crucial. And I really like to use a little bit longer hair rig so it's much easier for carp to suck it in. What is very important for me is when the rig as itself lies at the bottom and carp lift it, so the hook twists immediately to the down position, so when the carp is trying to blow it out, it always goes straight to the bottom of the lip. As far as we are fishing just between the big rocks, which can easily have like 50, 60, 70 centimeters, the length of the rig is really crucial. So in this case, it's more or less 30 centimeters as we are fishing in between of the big stones. But even in some cases, we can go longer, like 50, even 60 centimeters. So as the rigs are ready, now I think it's the perfect time for prepare some baits. So let's do it together. Unfortunately, I think it's gonna be again a bream. But still it's better than nothing. Oh, whoa, okay. Yeah, it's a huge bream. So as far as you can see, even the fish like this doesn't have any problem with the big bait, and it's just a matter of time. And also carp swims across and they found them. Yeah, I have to admit that if I be fishing by feeder, for sure this won't be very welcome fish. But now it's just another creeper, and I hope that this one will not bother me anymore and it will come by a little bit bigger fish. Hopefully you will send me some Mr. Carp, mate. Ciao. Just from the shore, this is the first level, first step, where it drops down to more or less 3 meters. A little bit further there will be the second one, up to 5. And yeah, exactly this edge is the place where you want to fish. law regulation of Czech Republic doesn't allow us to fish all night, so it's almost midnight now, and exactly at the midnight we need to retrieve the rods back. So when you have to do, you have to do. Early morning, more or less 4:15 a.m. Now is the time to cast out. So let's prepare some small PVA. Just cramp the buoys, Elbe Marine 94, and cast it out. It must be only the madman or carp angler who can wake up so early. Swear they go back to sleep and leave the carps doing their job. The regulations in Czech Republic are so old, I would say, that still we need to use the paperwork. And as far as I am on this, I always like to do some small notes. So when I fish later, I just come back in, and even like after half a year or whatsoever, and it's not only online, so in case of anything happen, I still can read it, I still have it in the paper. Hopefully it never goes off from that. And big rivers are always in a very hard nutshell. Unless you break it down, it's a big mystery and pretty tough piece of cake. It's still better to be a little bit active and search for a fish in the proper spots. Yeah, it requires a little bit more activity, a little bit more work, but that's carp angling. Today will be the proper day to do something more and maybe to move on a little bit and try a different spot. The rod from the margin finally went off, and we have a contact. Whoa. have it in. Yeah. Lovely small river mirror. Watercolor, beautiful fish. Very beautiful. This is always a good sign when you find that your fish were feeding on the boilies that you throw in. You see very nice pieces of monster crab boilies in, so I think we are on them. Now the decision is much more harder than before, and here comes the million-dollar question. Should we stay or should I go? Now I really have to consider and decide if it's worth to give it a chance or if it's better to stay here and patiently wait.
To místo stejně neukrmíš, když tam ta ryba není, takže o nějakým masení krmení o věcech to není, je to spíš o tom ty ryby teď prostě najít.
No dobrý kámo, tak to dává docela smysl, takže já to jdu pobalit, jenom kyblík, prostě pruty, podběrák a jdu na to těsně pod hráz. Tak díky a čus.
Přesně, čus.
So the plan is clear and let's move on to a little bit current under the log and let's give it another chance. Shoot this. As far as you see, the new location is straight on the Wild River, and that's why, because I need to cast a little bit further, I decided to go for TX7A with power arrow, so I'll have enough force with this intensity version to cast 200 gram lead, more or less 80 meters. River carps can be really wild, so that's why I use this extra protection, just to do not lose the rod and all of the setup. Even the big bank sticks or the rod pod cannot last here, so extra protection is always needed. Okay, let's go. So obvious reason why we moved here is it's always better to be inactive on the river and just travel, search for the carp and spread the chances across the week. In my opinion, it's much more effective than sitting on one spot and just waiting until the current or until the flow just brings the carp in and they start to feed on our feeding spots. With a calm night, unfortunately, but still there is a chance. There's the early morning. It's always difficult, you know. It's not the Bay Lake, but it's like wild river. Every take, every bite has the value of their gold, and this is the gamble of carp fishing. Sometimes you're lucky enough at the last minute of your session, and sometimes you just have a lovely venue, but without any fish. It's not a carp, it's also proper big one. Beautiful white fish. Oh. Here it's gone. Well, that's such an activity for a morning. It seems like I have to keep on track. It doesn't look like there's a big amount of carps right now. As the early morning passed, the only activity that I noticed were the whitefish and predator. So due to lack of time, I decided to move on again. Rather to focus right now. Sorry, but you can't imagine how stretched I am right now. What the fuck is this? It's gone. I really don't know what to say. I have no idea. I'm coming back for inline. This is the last chance. unbelievable what is happening here. But it also proves that you never know what you can expect on the carp fishing session. Like 2 weeks ago I had hell great of session, more or less 46 carps in a few days. It was crazy. And now a few days just before spawning they completely changed behavior and I absolutely lost my picture of it and my puzzle. So I'm putting piece by piece again by itself. And that one is pretty difficult. It's a puzzle of like 1,000 pieces. Black and white. And the best part of all of this is that bite can come in any moment. You never know what's gonna happen. The old fireplace at the bank just reminded me of the good old times when we were with the friends out to the river Danube and setting the first camps and the first memories of the fishing. So I couldn't resist to immerse in that good old time and to do the good old-fashioned dinner by my own.
Yes!
This is a great advantage of retention slicks, so you can lay the carp in it and leave it for a while to have a rest. And based on the ichthyological research, when the carps can get calm, their amount of adrenaline can get back to the normal after the fight, and when you leave them rest, they are much better later. Breathtaking, as you can see literally the six-pack on this fish, as each of this part represents the muscles which they have absolutely perfectly trained, and it goes from the head straight up to the tail. They are real bodybuilders.